My name is Robert Mitchell, and I'm 78 years old. They say wisdom comes with age, but sometimes it arrives too late.
When your hands shake too much to hold what you've lost. When your voice cracks trying to say the apologies that should have been spoken decades ago. I built an empire. Mitchell Industries. That was my legacy. 50 years of ruthless ambition, climbing over anyone who stood in my way, measuring human worth in quarterly profits and stock prices. I was good at it. Too good, maybe, because somewhere along the way, I forgot that the people around me weren't just tools for my success. They were human beings with their own dreams, their own dignity, and I destroyed them for it. The first person we treat cruelly is often the one closest to us. Margaret Henderson, my executive assistant for 22 years. 22 years of arriving before I did, staying after I left, remembering my daughter's birthday when I forgot, ordering flowers for my wife's grave when I was too buried in work to mourn properly. She was 53 when I fired her. I can still see her face that day. The confusion, then the hurt, then something worse. Resignation. As if she'd always known this was coming, that loyalty meant nothing to men like me. The company's restructuring, I told her, not even looking up from my computer screen. We need someone younger, someone who understands modern technology better. The truth, a board member's nephew needed a job, and I needed that board member's vote on a merger. Margaret's decades of service were worth less to me than one man's political favor. She didn't cry, she didn't yell. She just nodded, cleaned out her desk, and left with a cardboard box that couldn't possibly hold 22 years of dedication. I didn't even shake her hand. The second person we need to change is the friend from our poor days. Thomas Brennan was my friend. Or he used to be, back when we were both nobodies trying to make something of ourselves. We started our first business together in his garage. Two kids with more ambition than sense, eating ramen and dreaming of skyscrapers. When my company took off and his didn't, the friendship became inconvenient. Thomas was a reminder of where I came from, of the hungry kid who wore the same shirt 3 days in a row. My new circle, the country club members, the society wives, the politicians. They didn't need to know about that Robert Mitchell. So I erased him. I stopped returning his calls, avoided him at reunions. When he asked if I could invest in his struggling business, not a handout, a loan with interest, I told him I didn't mix friendship with business. The real reason? I was embarrassed by him, by his worn jacket and his old truck, by the way he still talked about loyalty and integrity like those things mattered in the real world. He closed his business 3 months later. I heard about it from someone else. I didn't call. And of course, when you've become someone society values highly, then your children should also listen and follow the guidance of a successful person. Right? But no. My daughter Sarah was brilliant. Graduated top of her class, got accepted to medical school, wanted to become a pediatrician. She had her mother's kind heart, the part of Ellen, my late wife, that I'd always admired but never understood. Sarah wanted to help children in underserved communities. I wanted her to join Mitchell Industries, to be my successor, to prove that I'd built something worth inheriting. We fought about it for 2 years. Every conversation became a battle. I couldn't understand why she'd throw away the opportunities I'd bled for, the private schools, the connections, the money, to work in some clinic making a fraction of what she could earn. "You're wasting your potential," I told her at Thanksgiving dinner, our last one together. "You're being naive and stupid." She left that night, just packed her bags and left. That was 12 years ago. She became Dr. Sarah Mitchell anyway, working at a children's hospital in Seattle. I know because I Google her sometimes, late at night when the house is too quiet. She sends me a card every Christmas. I've never responded. Pride is a prison I built myself, and I can't figure out how to escape it. They say pride comes before a fall. In my case, it was a stroke. 3 years ago at 75, I collapsed in my office. When I woke up in the hospital, half my face didn't work right. My words slurred. My right hand, the one I'd used to sign deals and fire loyal employees, shook uncontrollably. The doctor said I was lucky. It felt like punishment. Recovery was hell. Physical therapy, speech therapy, learning to write with my left hand like a child. But worse than the physical pain was the loneliness. The business partners who'd laughed at my jokes stopped visiting. The board replaced me with someone younger. The mansion that had impressed so many people became an echo chamber of my own regrets. I had built an empire, and it didn't matter at all. Margaret came back first. I was struggling to open a jar of pills, a stupid, simple task that my trembling hands couldn't manage, when my doorbell rang. I almost didn't answer. I looked terrible, felt worse, didn't want anyone to see Robert Mitchell brought this low. But she let herself in with the key I'd forgotten she still had. "Mr. Mitchell?" she said, and her voice was the same as I remembered, patient, capable, warm. "I heard you were alone. That's not right." She didn't wait for permission. She just started helping, organizing my medications, setting up a meal schedule, hiring a part-time nurse, managing the bills I'd been too proud to ask anyone about. "Why?" I finally asked her one afternoon. "Why are you doing this? I treated you terribly." She was quiet for a long moment. "Because someone has to," she said finally. "And because holding on to anger takes too much energy at my age. Besides, you need help, and I'm good at helping people. That doesn't change just because you forgot it." I cried that day. First time in 40 years. Thomas showed up 2 months later, after I had thought long and hard and found the courage to call him. Now, an old man like me. I didn't dare talk about the past. I just asked about his life. Of course, he was very surprised. And then that bland conversation, by my assessment, ended. But it opened another door when Thomas stood at my doorstep. "Heard you were having a rough time," he said. He looked like he was still simple, and certainly not as wealthy as me. But there was something warmer about him than me. "Thought you might want some company." He came every Tuesday after that. We'd sit on the porch, and he'd talk about his grandkids, his new small business, a modest success this time, built on his own terms. He never mentioned the loan I'd refused, never threw my past cruelty back in my face. I was a terrible friend, I told him once. He agreed with me about that. Then we both burst out laughing, 2 old men in the twilight of their lives. Never said forgiveness, but perhaps my heart had already been forgiven by the very friend I had abandoned. I'm 78 now. My empire is gone, my health is fragile, and most days I can barely button my own shirt. But Margaret still comes by 3 times a week. Thomas and I play chess on Tuesdays, and last month, for the first time in 12 years, Sarah called me. We talked for 10 minutes. Not much, just surface conversation about the weather and her work. But it was something, a beginning, maybe. I spent 50 years believing that success meant money and power, that people were valuable only for what they could do for me. I took the best people in my life, the ones who were loyal, kind, genuine, and I treated them like they were disposable. The cruelest irony? When I lost everything I thought mattered, they were the only ones who came back. Margaret didn't need my money. She'd built a comfortable retirement without me. Thomas didn't need my connections. He'd found his own success. Sarah didn't need my approval. She'd become exactly who she wanted to be. They came back because that's who they were. People who saw someone struggling and chose to help, even when that person didn't deserve it. I can't get back the decades I wasted. I can't undo the hurt I caused. But I'm trying to learn, even now, even this late. I'm learning that a kind word costs nothing, but means everything. That loyalty is earned. not expected. That the people who love you when you're nobody are worth more than everyone who flatters you when you're somebody. I'm learning to say thank you and mean it. To say I'm sorry even when it's hard. To see people really see them instead of seeing what they can do for me. If you're reading this and you're young, or younger than 78 anyway, please don't make my mistakes. Don't wait until your hands shake and your voice fails to tell the people in your life that they matter. Because sometimes you won't be as lucky as I am now. That assistant who stays late to help you. Thank them. Mean it. That friend who's always there. Don't take them for granted. That family member who loves you despite your flaws. Don't push them away because of pride or ambition, or because you think you have all the time in the world. You don't. None of us do. Because at the end of your life, when everything else falls away, those people, the ones you loved and who loved you back, that's all that will matter. I know. I learned it the hardest way possible.
My name is Robert Mitchell. I'm 78 years old.
And I'm finally understanding what it means to be truly rich.